How about the reviewing? How do you feel about the reviewing of calls? So right now, it feels like sporadically they'll have a review with a Hawkeye system that they took allegedly from maybe the XFL or tennis or something, and they'll go down in the ear of the ref and he'll say, after discussion, we're picking this up and we're moving on. It doesn't happen in every game. It feels like it only happens in some games. I think this is very good for everything going forward. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on it as an old school player?
Well, if they get it right, then I'm for it. But it looks like there's a lot of experimental stuff going on this season. But in order to move the game a little faster, I kind of like it. But
me too.
They just kind of just need to pick a lane and get in it and stay in it.
What do you think about the refs as a whole?
I hate refs.
Hold
all of them, man. I don't like refs.
Not at all.
No, I don't like them. None of them.
Me neither, by the way. I mean, I understand nobody wants to be a ref, but golly, let's figure it out.
My thing is make them full-time employees.
Yeah.
So therefore, if you mess up like an egregious fuck up, you can get fined too, because players and coaches can't speak on some egregious stuff that happened that would alter the outcome of a game, but. And the refs just get off scot-free, send them a letter saying, okay, my bad on Monday. But no, we just lost the game because of this one call. You know, you play hard for 59 minutes and 58 seconds. And one call can just mess up the whole outcome of a game. And all they get is don't do it anymore.
Yeah.
No, man, find them too.
Yeah, especially in this multi-billion dollar business that we have. They are a massive part of it. To think that they're part-time or not full-time is absurd. And then Dean Blandino, obviously the Fox rules expert alongside Mike Pereira, and Terry McAuley spoke to Peter King of Football Morning in America about exactly what you just actually said. Dean Blandino said that it could be a good idea. Dean Blandino said a lot of people don't see it as a solution, but I think it certainly would be. From a perception standpoint, a positive. Officials wouldn't have other jobs, taking away from the NFL job. Exactly what they'd be doing all season, I am not sure, but people who spend more time on their craft are going to be better at it. He'd go on to say other things. Terry McAuley now of NBC, he would tell Peter King this. He'd say, I don't believe it would make officiating better in any way, shape, or form. Okay, so not in any way, shape, or form, it will not get better. The only way it would possibly improve an official's life is there wouldn't be the stress added to your life that a full-time job adds. So that would be your first sentence, sir, being corrected right here. Then let's add, I used to get home from a Sunday game, maybe 11 or 12 o'clock at night, and I'd be at my desk as a computer fucking scientist at 6 a.m. the next morning. There really wasn't much downtime. That really would be the only pro. A few years ago, the NFL had a program where some officials were full-time employees. 21, they stopped it or whatever, for whatever reason. He'd go on, hey, Terry, that's exactly what we're fucking talking about. Maybe at 6 a.m. as opposed to being a computer scientist, you're looking back at the game and getting better as an official. That would make it better in some shape, form, or way, Terry McAuley. But that is the problem. You have some people, Terry McAuley's probably in a position of power, and there's a lot of like-minded people thinking like him. It's like, just because you're old school doesn't mean you can't adapt and become better.
Pat, but do the refs, do the current refs right now, if you polled them, do they want to be full-time employees?
I don't know. And what's the payment, I guess, because some of them are lawyers, right? They're like,
like a lot of them are lawyers making probably some pretty good cash.
Well, then don't do it.
Well, sometimes there's sacrifices to be in the goddamn NFL.
You're right. That's right.
Ain't that right, Robert?
Absolutely. As a man, your woman, your children, and your money, those are three things that men do not play around with. And two of those are off the table. So if you mess up, you should start touching their pockets, just like these guys are getting affected with a bad call.
Yeah,
I said what I said.
And if they're full-time, by the way, in the offseason, they're not allowed. The quote was something like they weren't allowed to do anything until April 15th or something. It's like, take them to a camp. Like, can we not do a seminar of some sort at a hotel?
Jack of all trades, master of none, or you can master this and be a professional at it. And it's not it's less likely you're going to mess up these calls.
Hey, man, could you imagine like when Ed Hockey League goes to negotiate what he's making versus some other ref, and there's like some young upstart ref like, this not fucking up a lot of stuff here, not a lot of this. He's gonna set a new record for referee contracts. I mean, that would be.
Why not? The money's there.
And there's only going to be more with gambling.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of money in the sports gambling world.
There's only going to be more scrutiny because of that too. With the refs.
There's a lot of money. So much money. Cartoon money.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Hilarious money.
Yeah, laughing a lot of money.
It is.
Yeah.
So much money that people might even say it aloud while potentially negotiating about said money.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Like, hey, this is cartoon money,
A
actually.
lot of money.
Hey, what if they ref the USFL in the spring too? They do the NFL job, and then in the spring they're getting more reps doing the spring leagues that pop up.
Here we go. And then the NFL would have to be associated with USFL, which the NFL probably doesn't want to be because then they were saying it's a feeder
Football
system.
stinks.
They could test new rules though with the USFL.
I think they said they already planned on doing that, right? And some of like the technology that they don't want to use in the NFL yet, they're going to use it in the USFL broadcast.
So Fox is saying that about the broadcast coverage or the refereeing and everything?
I believe both.
So I would assume that the NFL will watch them do it and then take their idea. I don't know if they're going to like say, hey, try this out. You know, I don't know.
Make it look like it's their idea, and then they'll implement it.
Yeah, smart.
They'll tweak it a little bit. Like, hey, look what we came up with, and it's going to be what the USFL did that was successful probably 3 months before.
Let's go to the Football Morning in America. Dean Blandino and Terry McAuley had two very different takes on full-time refs. Okay, Terry McAuley was like, nah, won't help in any shape or fashion. I guess maybe I wouldn't have to be a computer scientist at 6 a.m. on Monday morning after calling a Sunday night game, which that would maybe help or whatever. Yeah, of course it would, dude. Like when you're focusing on it.
Unbelievable.
What do you think about the refs? You got to sit in there in New York with the refs, and you've, I think, seen it now as a head coach, assistant coach. You were in there for your year in between coaching stints with Indianapolis and Chicago. How do you feel about it? Like, did it change your view on things? Did you agree it was harder? And how come there isn't full-time jobs, you think, for these refs?
Yeah, I think we all understand and have appreciation for how tough that job is, how tough all our jobs in the National Football League. And I think all those guys, you know, at 345 Park Avenue on the fifth floor in the AMGC know how I feel as far as, you know, officiating goes and full-time or not. I just can't. I equate it to, you know, coaching and playing. If we just, you know, did, you know, kind of part-time preparation, the quality and the product that we put on the field, it would suffer a little bit, don't you think?
Yes.
You know, and so I don't know how it cannot get better without full-time officials. If you spend every second of every day, I mean, we're 17 hours a week. They don't have to be in the office 17 hours a week. Obviously, that's what drove Robert, you know, Mathis out of coaching is the desk guarding stuff, which is true. You know, we've all guarded desk and looked out the window and saw, hey, is the head coach gone yet? Can we leave yet? But yeah, I was never one of those guys that head coach. I said, hey, get your work done and get home. Get with your family.
Hey, dude, I'm going to get the fuck out of here too, actually.
Yeah.
You know, hey.
Hey, look at you, Chuck. What a hey, good guy. Hey, humanitarian. What a guy. Look at you.
No, but anyway, I mean, if they spent, you know, 8 hours a day watching film, communicating, studying, you know, the team that they're going to play, studying their tendencies, their offense, their defense, their special teams, their personnel, just what their style of offense is, their defense. They would understand the game and probably bridge that gap between the coaching and officiating from a communication standpoint, an intent standpoint. What are they trying to get done here? Where should my eyes be? What can I anticipate? Just because I've watched a whole week's worth of film, like a player, like a coach, we can sit out there and we can call out, you know, every single, by the way, you know, an offense ends up, the final formation, especially in third down, 3rd and 2 to 6, 7 to 10.
Them knowing what's coming potentially is a whole
just to anticipate say the pick plays and the rub routes. You know, you're going to get crossing routes and mesh routes on 3rd and short. In the red area, you're going to get mesh routes and pick routes and rub routes. You know, you're not going to get the vertical game in the red area. You know, it becomes more horizontal. Once you hit the 17-yard line, Pat, the field becomes twice as wide as it is long. You know, so I think I'm not a mathematician, but that makes sense to me. I learned that a long time ago. So if they spent, you know, more time. You mentioned it, the clinics, you know, they get together, you know, once or twice a year, and I don't know the exact schedule per se, but can you imagine if they were full-time and they spent more time on the field working together, going through mechanics, not only watching the tape, but then going through exercises just like we go through walkthroughs? How can we not be better?
And there's billions and billions of dollars not only at stake but available. Why not? I don't know. Hopefully that'll be the next step in this entire thing.